Friday, June 13th dawns under a heavy, ominous sky that seems to mirror the turmoil brewing in the hearts of the Forrester and Logan families, and no one will feel that weight more than Steffi Forrester. From the moment she opens her eyes, a sense of dread creeps over her, though she can't yet name its source. Meanwhile, across the grounds at the Logan estate, Hope Logan arrives to find her mother, Brooke, sitting alone on the patio, clutching a mug of coffee as if it were an anchor in an unpredictable storm. Brooke's legendary warmth is clouded by loneliness. Ridge's departure months ago left a cavernous void, and now, with Hope announcing that she and little Beth will be moving in with Carter Walton, the house seems to echo with every footstep that won't be there. Hope delivers the news gently, her voice trembling with mixed excitement and guilt. Yes, she and Beth have found a new home with Carter, a chance at stability after the chaos of recent days, but she and Beth will visit again and again. Brooke forces a smile, congratulates her daughter, and for a moment, her eyes shine with maternal pride. But just beneath the surface, that familiar ache pulses. The ache of an empty nest, of dreams suspended, of a heart still tethered to a man who refuses to return. Hope reaches across the table, takes Brooke's hand, and promises that family bonds aren't broken by distance. Yet the camera pans away from Brooke's trembling lips and down to her hands, knuckles white, and you know that even this heartbreak could soon be a memory, because Nick Marone is returning to Los Angeles next week. And the promise of rekindled passion looms like a flicker of candlelight in pitch darkness. Over at the Forrester mansion, Steffi calls John Finnegan into the sun-drenched living room, the clock on the mantel ticking louder than her racing heart. She admires his steadfast expression, sympathizes with his sacrifice. How hard it must have been to tell Luna Nozawa that she couldn't be part of his life, to close that chapter forever. John's jaw clenches as he recounts the moment he looked Luna in the eye and said, "I love you, but I can't risk hurting Steffi or Hayes again." Steffi squeezes his hand, reassures him that telling Luna the truth was an act of protection for their family. But unbeknownst to them, Luna's shattered heart is fermenting into something far more dangerous. With every syllable, every sigh of relief from Steffi, Luna's image in the frame beside them blurs into the shadow of a lurking threat. Memories flood back of Luna's jealousy as she watched Finn cradle their son, Hayes, comforting him through nightmares. She remembers how Finn wiped away Hayes' tears, whispered promises of safety, how Hayes, so trusting, so innocent, clung to his father. Luna never cried for herself. Her tears were for the life that slipped away, the role she could never reclaim. And when Steffi returned home later that night and ordered Luna to leave their lives, Luna stood before the framed photograph of Finn, Steffi, and Hayes and stared until her reflection melded with the smiling image, vowing revenge. That same night, as darkness slides across the city, Hope is back at the Logan estate, tucking Beth into bed and reassuring her that tomorrow they'll start fresh in Carter's home, new rooms to decorate, new routines, new beginnings. In the guest house, Kelly Spencer giggles with Electra Forrester as they plan a sleepover, whispering ghost stories in the dark. Electra's laughter is bright, but Kelly glances toward the main house, frowning at a sliver of moonlight dancing through the window. Back at the Forrester mansion, Steffi and Finn share a tender moment before bed, Steffi's heart still light after John's reassurance, Finn's arms wrapped around his wife, Hayes squealing with delight as he tumbles between them. They talk quietly of dreams and plans, of summer days by the pool, of laughter echoing off the marble halls. They fall asleep to the soft hum of quiet contentment, unaware that outside, a figure moves through the shadows with the stealth of a stalking predator. Luna, dressed in dark clothes, her face half hidden by a hood, slips through the side gate, her mind a chaotic swirl of loss and envy. She knows the layout of the house from her brief, painful time with Finn. She knows the route to their bedroom. Her heart pounds, adrenaline sharpens her focus, fear and determination fuse into a single impulse. She will take Hayes. If she cannot be the mother he knows, she will own his fear, his confusion, his terror. She will force Finn and Steffi to feel the agony that has consumed her every waking hour. Meanwhile, on the Logan side, Brooke stares at the framed photograph of her and Ridge on the mantel, a remnant of happier days. She picks it up, traces the outline of Ridge's face with her fingertip, and closes her eyes, imagining his arms around her. A soft knock on the door startles her hope. Tucking Beth into her new room, assures Brooke that this change will be good. "You'll never see us less," she says, but Brooke hears only the hollow echo of empty rooms. Later, alone, she decides to go for a walk on the Forrester grounds, needing air, needing the familiarity of Ridge's favorite bench by the koi pond. She tries to shake off the melancholy, telling herself that Nick Marone's return heralds new romance, that new chapters await. Yet when she passes Carter's carriage house, a pang of something like jealousy stabs at her chest. Carter, supportive and kind, stepping into her daughter's life just when Ridge stepped out. Brooke forces herself onward, resolves to embrace the future, even as doubts linger like a stubborn stain on her optimism. Back inside the Forrester home, Luna reaches the hallway outside Finn and Steffi's bedroom. She pauses, listening to the soft whimpers of Hayes in his crib. Her breathing steadies. She smooths her hair, steps forward. But then, from behind, comes a creak. Electra, having left Kelly asleep in her room, walked in to fetch a glass of water. She spots Luna, recognizes her from the photos posted online, and gasps. In that instant, Luna's eyes flash with panic and fury. No witness, no interference. She lunges toward Electra, places a hand over her mouth. "Shh," Luna hisses, her voice low and dangerous. Electra struggles, but Luna's grip tightens. Then Luna releases her and rushes past, a dark silhouette darting toward Finn and Steffi's door. Electra yells out, "Stop her," but the hallway swallows Luna's footsteps. Electra races after her, her heart hammering, but as she rounds the corner, Luna is gone. All that remains is the open door to the couple's bedroom, the crib empty. Inside, Finn wakes at the sound of Beth's cries from the Logan estate phone alert. Carter's phone link lets him know Beth is safe, but Hayes is silent. Steffi bolts upright, panic flooding her. She rushes to the crib, empty, and her scream shatters the night. Finn bursts into the hallway, searching, calling her name. Electra appears, breathless. She's gone. Luna. She took Hayes. Steffi drops to her knees, chest heaving, tears tearing down her cheeks. Finn gathers her up, voice cracking with helpless fury. "We'll get him back, Steffi. I promise you, we'll find our son." But in the shadows beyond the polished floors, Luna stands motionless, clutching Hayes to her chest, rocking him gently. Her eyes, wet with grief, flicker with triumph as the distant siren of police cars rises, a symphony of doom for the Forrester family. On the Logan side, Brooke hears the distant siren too, hurries inside to find Hope on the phone, face pale. "It's Hayes," Hope whispers. "Luna took him from Steffi and Finn's house." Brooke's legs buckle, but Hope catches her, tears streaming down both their faces. "We have to help," Brooke whispers, resolve hardening. She grabs her keys. If Nick's back, she'll call him. If Ridge is gone, they'll face this storm together, Logans and Forresters united, racing against time to save a child from a desperate mother-turned-monster. And so Friday the 13th unfolds as a day of irrevocable change. Steffi's world upended by fear, Brooke forced to find new strength, hope torn between her daughter and her cousin, Luna's grief transforming into a nightmare that could shatter every bond. And Nick Marone's imminent return offering at least one flicker of hope in a night darker than any before. The bold and the beautiful tapestry of love and loss, betrayal and redemption, reaches a fever pitch. One child's cry echoing across two families, two estates, one city, demanding that every character confront their deepest fears and fight for what they hold most precious. Luna Nozawa's jealousy exploded like a dormant volcano finally unleashed, her obsidian eyes blazing with fury after witnessing Finn tenderly cradle his son Hayes, their quiet bond igniting a darkness within her that had long simmered beneath the surface. She had watched from afar as Finn whispered soothing words, wiped away her son's tears, and wrapped him in the kind of protective embrace Luna had fantasized about since the moment she first met him. Each soft coo and delighted giggle from Hayes twisted the knife of rejection deeper into Luna's heart, transforming her grief into a searing obsession. No longer content to linger on the sidelines of their family idol, Luna's pain mutated into a black desire for vengeance against Steffi Forrester, the woman she held solely responsible for usurping the life and love Luna believed was hers by right. The betrayal stung twice as hard because Finn had once allowed himself to hope that Luna could fill the void in his heart, only to cast her aside with brutal indifference, cold, direct, and devastatingly final. Luna's agony was no longer private. It had become a weapon, honed to perfection by sleepless nights and tortured fantasies of retribution. On the eve of June 13th, Luna lay awake in a borrowed apartment, her mind racing through every cruel whisper and jealous fantasy she'd ever harbored. She replayed the scene in her head, Finn's gentle voice, the proud lift of his chin as he smiled at his son, Hayes's chubby hand reaching for his father's face. It was a tableau of perfection that Luna despised with an all-consuming intensity. She slid on a dark hoodie and gloves, her reflection in the mirror revealing eyes hollowed by obsession. By the time she slipped through the shadows onto Steffi's estate, her heart pounded like a war drum. Every step toward the mansion was a vow, to make Steffi feel the same helpless terror Luna had known when Finn tore himself away from her and her own son. With each footfall on the marble path, Luna's rage sharpened. She would confront Steffi, expose her as the usurper she was, and shatter the illusion of domestic bliss the Forresters held so dear. Meanwhile, miles away at the Logan estate, Hope Logan found herself playing the role of confidant and cheerleader for her mother, Brooke Logan, whose emotional walls were closing in like a vice. As Ridge immersed himself in Steffi's world and Hope prepared for her own happily ever after with Carter Walton, Brooke couldn't escape the chilling realization that the people she loved were moving forward without her. The stately Logan home, once a sanctuary of laughter and familial warmth, felt cavernous and empty, each room echoing with memories of Ridge's touch and Hope's youthful chatter. Hope arrived at the patio just as dusk painted the sky in bruised purples, finding Brooke drawn into a brooding silence, her coffee mug precariously clutched as if it alone could anchor her to this world. Without preamble, Hope sat beside her and rested a comforting hand on her mother's back, whispering that change could bring new beginnings, that Ridge's focus on Steffi didn't diminish his love, and that Brooke's journey was far from over. Brooke mustered a brittle smile, but her eyes told a different story, haunted by loneliness and the nagging fear that she was losing not just Ridge, but her own sense of purpose. Hope's words, gentle, insistent, pierced the gloom, promising that no distance or shifting alliances could sever the bond between mother and daughter. Yet as Hope embraced her mother, she wondered whether words alone could staunch the ache within Brooke's heart. Back on the Forrester grounds, The moon cast a cold glow across the mansion's ornate facade, illuminating a figure crouched near a second-floor window. Luna's gloved hands pressed against the window frame as she peered into the softly lit nursery where Hayes slept, his cherubic face peaceful in the pale light. A twisted smile curved Luna's lips. This moment of helpless serenity would soon shatter, replaced by chaos and terror. She tested the window latch, her pulse racing as it clicked open. What followed was a silent ballet of dread. Luna's slender figure slipped inside, her breath a steady whisper in the hush of the room. She paused over the crib, gazing at Hayes's downy curls and upturned lashes as if committing every detail to memory. Then, with a heartbreaking gentleness, she lifted Hayes in her arms, clutching him to her chest as though she could will him to love her instead of Steffi. The soft stirrings of the infant stirred something in Luna's core. Regret glimmered for a fleeting second before being snuffed out by her determination. If she could not possess Finn's heart, she would possess his child's fate. In the Logan house, Brooke paced the hallway near Hope's bedroom, humming old lullabies to calm her nerves. She replayed Hope's reassurances, clinging to the belief that family endurance could withstand any shift. When Hope emerged to check on her, Brooke reached for her daughter's hand and nodded, steeling herself to believe in a future that felt both terrifying and unknown. They shared a quiet moment, Hope's face etched with concern for her mother, Brooke's with gratitude and a hint of longing for the days when her family felt invincible. But neither could foresee the storm gathering just miles away on the Forrester property, where Luna's obsession would soon collide with the lives they held most dear. The clamorous creak of a nursery door echoed through the Forrester halls as Finn, roused from sleep by an inexplicable chill, stepped into the corridor. He froze at the sight of the open door and the empty crib, panic lancing through his chest. Screaming Steffi's name, his voice trembled with horror as he raced toward the nursery, each footstep echoing the shattering of his world. Steffi, jolted awake by his cries, stumbled into the hallway in a robe, terror-stricken eyes scanning for their son. Finn's anguished sobs met her gasp of disbelief as they collided in the hallway, his arms around her shaking frame. "Hayes," he rasped, voice cracking. "He's gone. Someone took him." Steffi's eyes filled with icy fear and fury as long-buried instincts flared. She was mother, warrior, protector. Through the darkened glass of a distant window, Luna watched the chaos she had unleashed, cradling Hayes like a prize born of her own desperation. Her tears melted onto the child's cheek as she murmured, "Now, you're mine. You'll feel what I felt." She turned away from the crying couple and slipped through the shadows, clutching Hayes tightly against her chest, her silhouette swallowed by the night. Sirens wailed in the distance as police cars sped toward Steffi's mansion, their red and blue lights flickering like fireflies in a storm. Finn gathered Steffi close, his breath ragged, promising he would find their son, no matter the cost. Steffi's sobs shook his shoulder, each tear a hammer blow to her heart. As they held each other, news of the abduction rippled across Los Angeles, reaching Brooke and Hope's ears through a frantic phone call. Brooke's hand flew to her mouth in shock, Hope's knuckles whitening as she gripped her mother's arm. "It's Hayes," Hope whispered, tears pooling in her voice. "Luna took him." Brooke's legs buckled, but she found strength in Hope's embrace, the urgency of their shared grief forging a bond stronger than any fear. She vowed to do everything in her power to help the Forresters, to stand beside her daughter as they fought for the safe return of a child caught in the crossfire of lunacy and obsession. As dawn threatened to break over a city held captive by dread, the Logan and Forrester families braced for a confrontation that would test the limits of love, vengeance, and forgiveness. Finn activated every resource, from police sharpshooters to cyber sleuths, while Steffi ignited a firestorm of social media pleas and desperate prayers. Brooke, once adrift in solitude, found clarity in purpose to reunite a family torn asunder by one woman's twisted desire. Hope, torn between her own burgeoning bliss with Carter and the peril facing her cousin's son, raced to Carter's side, forging an alliance of unwavering support. And Luna, ensnared in the poisonous aftermath of her jealously wrought scheme, cradled Hayes with a misguided tenderness, convinced that only by tearing away everything Steffi held sacred could she reclaim her own shattered heart. Yet as the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, illuminating the anxious faces of those who refused to rest until Hayes was safe, one question hung in the air like a blade. Would the love that binds families together prove stronger than the anger that seeks to destroy them? The answer, as the day of reckoning dawned, would define not just one woman's fate, but the very essence of redemption, sacrifice, and the enduring power of hope.